All right, I'm going to go ahead and get us going and get things started. And you've been listening to the wonderful sounds of DJ Slim over there. We can do better than that for DJ Slim. Come on. All right. All right. So we want to think about end of the year and do things a little differently today to just say thank you to each one of us. And, we've had a tremendous year in a number of different ways. And so want to do things a little differently today. So for those of you here for the first time, I'm Tracy Parsons. I am the facilitator of the Community Coalition. So a special welcome to you that are here for the first time. We meet the second Wednesday of each month here in this space. And it really is a great place, great meeting to meet and talk with folks from throughout our community. So before we get started today, I want to take care of some really, really important business. And so I want to start off and do a moment of silence for, we've had a tremendous year, rough really. Last week, we lost Mr. Sean Bundy Green in the community, a true warrior, volunteer, person, just loved kids and really was involved mostly and primarily in the sports area, but as a coach and active community member. And then, of course, we lost Senator Scott Bennett as well here in the last week. So I'd like to do a moment of silence for not only those two individuals, but really for the year and in the space. So. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone. Scott was a tremendous champion and supporter of the coalition and hired and brought in students through our initiative and has just been here from the beginning and been supportive. So I know a number of you, all of us are in with just real heavy hearts. So I wanted to really be thoughtful about that today. So we start off with each one of our meetings and do introductions. All right, so thank you, everyone. Let's give everyone a round of applause. Our photographer for today that didn't get introduced is Elonda Towns, got her own business and doing her thing. All right, so that's everybody, right? So we do the introductions for a reason. So that, first of all, you see who all's in the room. And secondly, it's important because the work that we're all doing as a community is second to none. And there is not a space like this outside of Chicago where you can come and find 80 to 100 community members monthly coming in to work on our community's most difficult social and economic issues. So today, we're going to kind of just do a year in review. You know, when I started just gathering the data and information about what we wanted to do today, we've had an unbelievable year. If you think about this time last year, we were all still working remotely. Schools were trying to address and work with kids remotely. Police were involved in our most historic year ever as it relates to gun violence, as Jenny was talking about. And we can keep going on and on and on with all the difficulties that we were experiencing. And end of the year, and we're still standing. And to just take a moment to say thank you to one another, acknowledge one another in this time and space when there's as much negativity in the community and in the world. Coalition is a place where we want to continue coming together to work on our issues together. And so today we're just going to say a bunch of thank yous, acknowledge some of the work that we've done. Outside of myself, everybody else that does stuff with the coalition is volunteering, right? And so that's just phenomenal as a community. So let's do our first example. You know, the primary reason we're here is for our youth. We've got an unbelievable summer employment program for kids in Champaign, on campus and university, and in Urbana. So we want to hear from a couple of our youths about their experiences this summer.
Well, I'm Perry Lee, and I just graduated. I heard about YES through Yolanda O'Connor. I was telling her I was going to do a gap year, and I didn't know what I was going to be doing within the year of between schooling, and she was just telling me, you know, like, what kind of field do you want to go into? And she told me about the YES program, and I signed up. I'm currently working at Illini Media, and that is at the YMCA on campus. And my workplace duties are pretty much like filing, answering phones, typing out emails, just doing whatever tasks will alleviate the work off of other people. And the biggest thing that I've noticed is it's a very different environment compared to a high school newspaper versus there are really very strict deadlines. There are you just have a lot more freedom to write about a lot. So I do oftentimes seeing the writers come in and hearing them talk about what they're going to write about, because it's when I finally go here, I'll be able to be in their shoes.
Hi, my name is Jaden. I'm a junior at Central High School. I used to ski. I'm a staff. Good. Nice. I love this place. The reason I decided to come here is because I once went here when I was a middle school child, or elementary, I should say. And I just thought it would be fun to get back, the little kids in the community. And some of the kids here, I know their parents and the rest of the family. So that's cool. And I found out about this YES program through Operation Hope Junior. And it was founded, I think, Poncho Moore. And I just waited till I was old enough to come.
My name is Tayshawn. I go to Centennial. I'm a junior. And the reason I did this because of him. I ain't know nothing about it. He put me onto it. And the favorite thing I like to do here is work with the kids. I mean, I really don't have a favorite thing to do.
Let's give it up for the YES program. Each summer we have about 160 to 170 of our students working in your organizations, working across our community, getting exposed to the world of work. So the next thing we want to highlight, we started a little more than a year ago thinking about, again, how can we talk about and address some of our community's most difficult social and economic issues. Working with WIL, Community Coalition partnered to do something we called News, Brews, and Beats. So our first few shows were really focused on their gun violence issues, talking about that in a new and different way, very intentional way. The Brews is we had it at Poor Brothers. So there were folks having a couple while we were having their panel conversations. And the beats were we had a DJ there and creating great environment, spreading the love, playing conscious music so that we can be in the moment and in the space. And so we just finished this past Monday our 6th show or event. And so we want to show you a little bit of news, brews, and beats.
Hello, I'm Reginald Hartwick, News and Public Affairs Director at Illinois Public Media. Welcome to News, Brews, and Beats. In 2021, we teamed up with the Champaign Community Coalition to hold these important discussions. Our first programs at Poor Brothers Tap Room in downtown Champaign focused on reducing local gun violence. We heard from experts on mental health, youth programs, and more. On this program, we have a special, some say, historic conversation with the leaders of Champaign, Danville, and Urbana school districts here at the Illinois Public Media Studios. And we're joined by an audience of 50 community members. This show, by the way, was pre-recorded on September 28th. That will be an edit. Okay, sorry. All right, okay. And now let me introduce our News, Brews, and Beats co-host, Tracy Parsons, Community Relations Manager and Facilitator at Community Coalition in Champaign. Tracy, why are these discussions important to you?
Well, Reginald, thank you for doing this. And WIL, this is such an important time and period in our community, but across the nation. And to be able to have this space to talk about these issues and address these issues in a very intentional way is really important. So I'm so pleased to have our panelists here. It is historic when you think about our region of the community to be led by 3, 4 African-American great leaders. Their enthusiasm, their energy for what they do and their commitment to our youth and kids and community is just inspiring. And so I am so pleased to be here. Education is really the key. As we talk about all of these social and economic issues, how we're going to be able to impact them, change them, and improve them is through education. So we can't have a more important topic and panelists to help have this discussion tonight.
Great. Well, thank you, Tracy. And let's now introduce our panelists. Dr. Alicia Geddes is marking her 8th year as superintendent of the Danville School District 118. Next to her is Dr. Sheila Boozer, who became superintendent of Champaign Unit 4 schools in 2020. And next to her, Urbana School District 116 Superintendent Jennifer Ivory Tatum. And we want to mention again, Decatur District 61 Superintendent Dr. Rochelle Clark was scheduled to take part in our discussion, but was unable to attend due to a medical emergency. So our thoughts are with Dr. Clark. And I want to welcome all of our wonderful distinguished guests to News, Brews, and Beats. Tracy has our first question.
So, Dr. Tatum, I'm going to ask you to start off, but all 3 of you, this question is for you. So please share 3 things about your district you would want us to know and the audience to know about. First, Urbana schools.
3 things. So one, our diverse community is something I'm really excited about. I've been a resident in Urbana for a very long time. I'm also an Urbana parent. I have 2 recent grads. And our diversity is something I think that makes us very special. We are able to educate students from all different cultures, different language groups, all different walks of life. We send students all over the world and all over our country to prestigious universities. But we also prepare students for life. Like you were saying, Tracy, we get them ready for careers. We get them ready for, we're preparing great citizens, and that makes me really proud. I'm really excited about our teachers. We have some of the most committed teachers. I've been a deputy superintendent in our district. I was a principal, and I am really proud every day that I get to work shoulder to shoulder with some amazing educators who are just doing great things every day. I guess I'd also say I'm really proud of our community partnerships. The Community Coalition is one of the groups that we're really excited to be able to work with. I know we have some of our partners in the audience, NAACP. I'm not going to start naming people because I can't see all your faces. But our partnerships and the work that we're able to do, I mean, we're small. We're smaller than both of these districts, but I feel like mighty in the work that we're able to do in the lives of our youth. And we would not be able to do that without some of the amazing community partners that we work with every day.
Dr. Booth?
A great question, but I do want to start by saying I wish I were the superintendent since 2020, but I actually started in 2021. So yeah, I don't want to take anything away from my predecessor. But anyway, 2021, I joined this amazing district, Champaign Unit 4, and as Dr. Ivory Tatum discussed already, I am really excited about the diversity that is in Champaign Unit 4 and how we embrace diversity and embrace equity. And to the point where equity is an action, not just something that we just throw out there. I have a board that is very forward thinking and a community that's very forward thinking, and we have an anti-racism resolution that drew me to Champaign Unit 4 to work in this amazing district. We serve over 71 different languages that are spoken in our community, in our school district, and so that is in itself is amazing. I also like to let everyone know that I don't think people understand that when you are in a school district such as Champaign Unit 4, we do everything. We have our own transportation, we have our own food service, so we don't contract out. We take care of all those things in-house, so it makes it a great place because you are able to bring in so many different facets from the community and people to help us get the work done. And I too am excited about all the partnerships, the community partnerships. Unit 4 has so many partners who pour into our system because they want to make sure that our kiddos and our staff are getting everything they deserve and they need. I think that we do a great job of making sure that our students' needs are being met, from feeding them to if they need a place to live, if we just need to give them some love, on top of educating them and getting them prepared for the next stage in life. And the final thing I want to say about Unit 4, we pride ourselves on the fact that we don't want to say Unit 4 is the end of the road for our kids. When our kids graduate, we're trying to make sure that they're ready for the next portion of their life, because that's when their life really begins. And so we want to prepare them. So when they leave Champaign Unit 4, we want to follow them and say, okay, how are you doing? And we want to pour into them and make sure they're ready for whatever happens next. And so graduation is not the end for us. It's the beginning for the rest of our students' lives.
Thank you. All right. That's News, Brews, and Beats, right? Phenomenal. Come on, give them a round of applause. Dr. Ivory Tatum, when we look at ourselves on film, we're probably looking at stuff a little differently, right? But you did a phenomenal job, and it was a great discussion, great energy, and again, more of our work we're doing as a community in partnership and in collaboration. So, next one. Okay, my fault. So we have a phenomenal summer program we call our summer initiatives. And we get about $107,000 from Champaign County Mental Health Board to do special intentional projects in the community. The Down Moray Boys and Girls Club serves as the convener, the coordinator, the fiscal agent for this work. Next slide, please. So, next slide, please. So what we primarily focus on with our summer initiatives is arts and culture, recreation, academic enrichment, and then leadership and community engagement. So I want to just for a few moments talk about some first year initiatives that were just so cool, right? And I was just so happy to be able to put these in place. So part of DJ Slim over there and his work at Douglas Library in Champaign, we did something we called jam sessions. And on Friday nights, we created a space for our youth and those individuals who are arts inclined, so whether this is painting, whether it's musician, it's spoken word, it's all these things. Dante coordinates it over there. And so we just put a deal together. We're going to start back doing our jam sessions in January. So again, when we start talking about stuff for our kids to do and places for them to go, and people say there's no place for it, That's bull, right? We know that, right? So how do we get them connected? So jam sessions, I'm going to be excited to do so. I know they did it outdoors this year, and we had great participation and involvement. Another one we did this summer, we worked with the That's What She Said group, and we did some girls, women, young ladies specific programming. So next slide, please, April. And they did some, classroom work, certificate gaining, tours on campus, some phenomenal work through the That's What She Said partnership this summer. And probably my favorite, had a chance to meet this young man in our community a few months ago, and he came to talk to us about yoga. And I said, yoga, huh? Yes, and focusing on the formerly incarcerated population. And I'm going to bring up in a few moments Mr. Jerry Hunter to introduce you to him. So let's go through the next couple slides. All right, there's our That's What She Said group. All right, so we had 59 youths, 570 young folks participated in our programming this summer. 59 youth, I'm not going to read it all, but peer support, male-specific programming, female-specific programming, ran tool kids. We all know the great work Reverend Comer does with his midnight basketball and his conferences. So just phenomenal work. Thank you, Mental Health Board, for this participation. Boys and Girls Club partnership. It's just great each summer to see the activity that we can do. And what I always share with the Mental Health Board that's so nice about this funding is that it allows us to do new and different and kind of creative things. So I had a chance to meet Mr. Jerry Hunter, and I'm going to bring him up now from Hunter Boy Fitness. Now, I don't know how much of Jerry's story he's going to tell us. He doesn't have that much time. But we were able to pay to get him certified. So he's now a certified yoga instructor. We're getting him, right? Come on up, Jerry. He's got to get his social media and all that together. So he's going to talk to us a little bit about his work. He's going to talk to us about yoga and what you're wanting to do with it and how much of your story you want to tell is on you, brother, but you only got a couple minutes. So.
Okay, well, with my couple minutes, I'm going to spend it wisely. Evening, everybody. Again, my name is Jerry Hunter. I am the CEO, owner of Hunter Boy Fitness. Like Tracy said, I came to him and Miss Mary months ago with my dream, with my passion, and I just asked for a chance, and I was allowed that chance, and Tracy and Miss Mary, you got to go back to school. You got to get it. You got to get this to be able to go to that point. I told them, I said, just believe in me because I believe in me. Just give me a chance, and I'll show you better than I could tell you. I know a lot of people come in, they say what they want to do, but here I am, I sit, and I done that. I went back to school. I got that certificate. I took those steps necessary to become the person that I am today, to be able to reach back out into my community, to the youth, to the elderly, and help. That's all I want to do. I just want to help. I had a bad life, but that's neither here nor there. It's over with. This Jerry Hunter that stands in front of you today with a dream. And again, I just want to thank you all, Tracy, Mary. I can show you something.
I don't know, I don't know anything about any yoga, right? Okay.
Okay, this yoga pose. Tracy already told me he's not gonna do it. So this pose here I'm going to perform for you guys is just a simple standing pose, and it allows you to breathe. Yoga is really basically learning how to breathe with every movement that you make while you exercise. I'm standing here in a mountain pose. I'm paying attention to my feet right now. So as I stand still, I just want to just relax. Take a deep breath in and relax. That's what I do, and that's what the team, the class, that's what we're gonna do at the beginning of every session. So I'm gonna demonstrate a few poses right now. This is a basic mountain pose, stretch upward, hands to the side, feet shoulder width apart, and you just breathe. Bring your breath up. Every time that you would bring a deep breath up and release, your shoulders will release. Tension will be extracted from your body and things like that. I mean, anything that you have bad going on, feelings or whatever, yoga is one of the exercises that you can utilize to remove it from your body. It don't take a lot. You know, I stand here, I can contort, but I'm not gonna take y'all through that today. You know, it don't take contortion all the time. It's just relaxing. Again, my mountain pose. Breathe up, noticing my hands up.
All right, so that's Jerry Hunter, Hunter Boy Fitness, now a certified yoga instructor. So Elsie, we were looking at your book. You know, Jeff is from the Y, Elsie's the Banner Park District. Miss Cool's over there from Champaign Park District. I thought I saw a quick hand. Did I? Question?
So can you talk a little bit about the benefits of yoga for prison populations and others?
It's a good question. The benefit of yoga for me, when I journeyed off into it, was it taught me how to relax in a stressful situation. I didn't have to be the tough guy all the time, you know. So in order for me to get through the time that I had to do, I found something else. I was looking for something else different anyway, you know. So I just walked past the gym one day and I saw some big old strong guys in there and they were doing yoga. So I got curious. I'm like, man, come on, man. So I jumped in and asked, hey, can I participate in that? And they gave me a chance to participate. And within 2 months of participating with them, I became an instructor in there. I was beside the instructor. I was an instructor aide. But yeah, it keeps you out of a lot of trouble. It teaches you how to breathe. It teaches you that you don't have to stress out. When you feel yourself getting stressed, you can just always run to yoga as your safe haven and take you a few deep breaths and just relax. Relax. You know, a lot of things are not meant to just live rent-free in our heads. And that's how I get rid of them. I go do me some yoga, you know.
One more question.
Yes.
You did touch on this just a little bit, but I have heard that, you know, your passion, your skills could be used in the school districts, especially in a discipline situation where it's de-escalation. to get children to calm down. Do you recommend that first thing in the mornings or right after it happens?
That's a good question. I recommend that you would do it first thing in the morning. Me, I get up every morning at 4 o'clock in the morning, and I go into my yoga before I go to work. So to rid myself of any stress that I may have had in my body that night while I was asleep, or something like that. But yeah, it's best if you do it first thing in the morning.
Real quickly, what I'm saying is, should there be preparations at the beginning of the school day to go through some of these rituals to prepare children for the classes, of the day, what's going to happen during that time?
Yes, ma'am, that would be very helpful if you can get the kids into some of those poses, rituals before class. It can help them just, sit down, and pay more attention to what they need to be paying attention to, which is their schoolwork.
All right, let's give them one more. All right. So thanks again to the Mental Health Board. Yes. We're going to make that happen. So we're getting websites put in place, getting his business established. Mark Pelmore and Business Elevators working with him to get his business set up. So, we're doing everything we can to support, to have this important work take place in our community. So that's the superintendent of schools in Urbana-Borough. So, all right. So we, as I think many of you know, we have a race relations subcommittee that's all volunteer that we're looking for people to participate on. Race is still our most difficult issue and subject to address in our community, and we have a lot of work to do, right? So as much as we take that on as a community, our ability to address our issues can be we can address them if we address race. And so I'll just stop there. So I want to bring up first Crystal Womble. So we've been doing a number of different projects in our community, or in our committee, and one of them is capturing oral histories of African Americans who have contributed in our community. I'm not going to go through the PowerPoint, April, so thanks. And we'll just let Crystal. So Crystal, we contracted with her this summer to do some interviews and some oral history work. And she's going to just share a little bit with us about going through that process.
Thank you, Tracy. Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Good. Well, my participation in the Oral History Project was truly amazing. I'm from Champaign, born in Rantoul, raised in Champaign. So a lot of the people that I interviewed, I knew or I knew of. And the importance of this work is just, it's amazing to be able to tell your story the way you want it told. It's amazing to hear those stories of migration, of what brought their families here or what brought them individually to this area. And a lot of those stories included first achievements. So many people who had family members or they themselves were the first to do something, the first to initiate and to participate in ways that were closed to them before, closed to African Americans before. So with that, I say that we had so many areas of interest. Some was, like I said, migration stories. Some was educational opportunities and academics. Who and what inspired and encouraged them along the way. And there were many triumphs. A lot of the stories were absolutely phenomenal. They are being housed at the Museum of the Grand Prairie. There were over 120 names, and as you talk to people, more names came up of people who should be included. So my hope is that someone picks that up and it continues and it's accessible and available for everybody. So in including those first and some of the migration stories too, as you could imagine, some of the people were older, that some of the interviewees were older. They've been of this community and from this community or came here because of education or job opportunities. And their stories were as varied as you could imagine. Some really heartfelt stories, all heartfelt stories. Some were very emotional, and I just really appreciate and thank the people who were able and willing and wanting to share those stories, because once you have that information, it needs to be captured, it needs to be archived, it could be available for many, many reasons, as you could imagine. And again, I just hope that we continue the work, or the museum continues the work. If not the museum, then someone else. Some of the people that I interviewed, I had a list of 10, and then there was a student who did 10 or so before me. Those are the ones that were on the PowerPoint, and they're available now. Mine are still being transcribed and logged and cataloged. And the idea is to have them available electronically so that any family member, anyone of the community, a student, another museum that's interested in that work can access it and go specifically to an area of interest. So it's really important work. Their stories, their achievements, their accomplishments, and everybody needs to know that we are here, we contribute to this community in a huge, huge way, and by that I'm talking specifically of the African American community, and the histories are just absolutely phenomenal, so I'm glad to be a part of it.
Let's give her a round of applause. So thank you, Krista, for the work, and as some of you may know, a few meetings ago, we brought the African American Heritage Trail that's taken place in the community and had them here to talk about that really important work. So Joycelyn Andrew Brown is going to come and talk about some of the other committee work that we've done through the year.
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay? I'm not going to be before you long. I have a tendency to be long-winded, but I wanted to also say that breath work, mindfulness, all those things are important to help to do the work that we do in the Race Relations Committee. And yoga is one thing that I said that I need to do. And telling your story and having people listen are important. So I'm just trying to tie all these things together. But basically, we are the Race Relations Subcommittee. We stand as an anti-racist committee advocating against dehumanizing, marginalizing of blacks and other people of color. And we're committed to transforming this legacy of hate and finding ways to address the damage that's been done by these systems of marginalization. Next slide. Okay, so just for those of you who may or may not know, basically our subcommittee was established after the showing of Racial Taboo that was around 2015. I forgot to mention, because I was tying all the other things together, is that I put handouts in the back. I can't go through all the words, so that way you've got a handout of the PowerPoints. We also have shared a resource list of links that we find about race and racism that's back on the back table as well. And there is also a handout that we are shared with the Open Wounds participants that came from this Trauma Resiliency Initiative. So that's also in the back as well. There's all these things that are intersecting together, but I'm just focusing on the Race Relations Committee today. So basically, okay. So in the spring, was it spring? COVID's got my timelines messed up. But at some point during COVID, we went through Bill Mellamy's, his group had an advocacy. We went through a strategic planning activity. And some of the ones that we came up with, we decided that courage, And I'm just paraphrasing here. You can read what the text says on the slide. Courage is acknowledging, we want to value, we acknowledge the shared values of courage, which involves acknowledging risks and fears around doing this work. Empathy, which is striving to understand others' perspectives and holding compassion for our own struggles. Equity, treating others with dignity and respect as individuals and equals. And honesty, speaking truth, and I would say truth to power, as well as asking fair-minded, critical questions, as well in addition to examining historical truths and addressing how to cope with the discomfort that some may feel in constructive ways. Next slide. Basically, in the spring, phase one, we had two phases. Phase one, we basically partnered with United Way to show open wounds. It was something that the CU Tri had done previously, and United Way still had some time. So we partnered, and we had a great turnout. You can read about the details on the slide if you can read that tiny print, the handout. Also, and then phase two, next slide, please. And a lot of this stuff we presented the details on last spring, or last fall. Was it spring? I'm sorry. Everything's running together. But anyway, so phase two involved what we call capacity building. We wanted to provide opportunities for people in the community to develop skills. The first one was facilitation skills. So we offered a dialogue facilitation training foundation, what I call the foundational 1.0. And then there were also some programming that was led by Donna Tyner-Harold on mental health in the community. We did a panel at Parkland. She did some continual panels for other groups. You can read about that. And then the other thing that Donna Tyner-Harold was doing with us is this Race Talks youth discussion groups that basically were postponed during the pandemic, but she picked it back up again in the fall, as you'll see in another slide. The other thing that we did in spring was that we collaborated with Sam Smith, and he did a reading of the play Antigone for the high school and UIUC students. So we try to collaborate with different groups and organizations in town that are already doing things, as well as trying to think of what can help move our understanding around race and race relations even further. Next slide, please. I put this up here because during the summer, we took time off. And I don't know about you all, but one of the things I've learned is that doing this work is very emotionally and spiritually and can be draining. So we really, really want to emphasize this whole need about self-care, and it was okay for us to take the summer off, and then we picked it back up. So just as a reminder, self-care is important for any activists or change agents. So yoga is one good thing. So there are all kinds of things that you can do, breath work, mindfulness, that can help you learn how to take care of yourself. But then we realized that we have to get back to work. This has been, as you know, we're living in contentious times. So we want to take a break. We took a break, but then we got to get back to work because there's too much work to do. How many of you have heard of NAP ministry? NAP ministry? None of you? I Google it because their motto is rest is resistance. So that's one of the things that I take into heart. It's been a big thing on UIUC campus, talking about the NAP ministry. So then, next slide, please. So in the fall, we did a lot of, part of our group, Terrence Alexander, who works with the Don Moore's Boys and Girls Club, is doing a conversation cafe. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's a good opportunity that we're trying to bring parents to come and develop some skills and to talk and narrative. So we've been supporting him in the effort. They got a grant with United Way. We don't take ownership of that. We just partner with people. So we've been supporting him in those efforts. We've also been in discussions with the Campus Community Compact. They have some grant money. The university has some grant money, and Beverly Baker suggested that we connect with them. And so I'm in conversations with Dean Steve Anderson about putting on some kind of community campus conversation related to building relationships and partnerships. We hope to do that next year. We also had a consultation with iBarge, which was formerly known as the Illinois Balance and Restorative Justice Program. They've now changed their name to Reimagine Illinois. Is that correct, Amy? Reimagine Justice Illinois. So the other thing that we're trying to plan is to have more race talks in the future. Donna Tanner Harrell is going to be the lead on that. Next slide, please. Some other things that we were thinking about in addition to the community campus collaboration is having a community conversation on thriving in the face of racism. One of the things that's important to me is helping people to understand structural racism and how that may impact you as an individually and what kind of skills that you can develop as individuals, as families, as communities, to be able to counter some of the impacts of that. So I'm interested in putting a conversation like that up together and helping people develop skills around surviving and negotiating systems. We also have thinking about bringing in, is this your signal for me to stop? Okay. So Joe Manerick is a person that used to live in our community and he left. I'm going to wrap up really quickly. So we want to bring him in. He did a fabulous workshop with the NAACP when he was here on stakeholder analysis and political strategy training for nonprofits, among other things. So, and some of that information is on the table back there. We also have been exploring Arthur George Middleton's book promoting his books at the library. He's written some books on race and racism, some for kids and some for adults, and possible workshops and discussions. I won't go into details. And I already talked about the thriving in the face of racism. And also we're gonna try to partner with Sam Smith on his next venture at Krannert. Let's see, I think that may be, two last slides, and then I'll stop. I want to thank people who worked with us for service. We had action groups, so we're not just sitting around talking. We are trying to figure out what are some strategies and things that we can actually do to make a difference in this community. And so we have action groups 1 and 2, and the committee members were Sharon Anderson, Terrence Alexander, Beverly Baker, Kim Bowdry, Javiette Burton, Amy Felty, Barbara Jones, myself, Minnie Pearson, Penny Soskin, Donna Tanner Harrell, Chris Chavez, Carolyn Dyer, and April Faulkner. And if I missed anybody, I'm sorry. I think Amanda Lubeck came to one of our meetings. Did I say your last name right? Love it? Okay. So we're in the business of collaborating, and so I'd like you to consider working with us if you have an organization that you think might be interested. Okay. Last slide, thank you. Invitation to join. We're always looking for concerned and committed citizens to join our committee and further this work. So you can talk to Tracy, or you can email or talk to either Tracy or April if you want to get involved with us. And please do. I just found out that our next meeting has been canceled so they can do some honoring of Senator Scott Bennett. But I'd welcome you and invite you to come and partner with us to do the work of race relations. Sorry.
All right, so thank you. And again, just wanted to share all the great work that folks are volunteering to do in our community to address race. So we want to bring our law enforcement leadership up to talk about their work as they're coming up. I mean, let's just give them a round of applause. There is no more scrutinized group of leaders in society right now. I'll go that strong, maybe, right? And so we're going to have you go second. First? Yeah. Okay, you got to go. Okay. Oh, 3 minutes. Okay. All right. That's even better. And then stay back.
So I believe in total transparency. My name is Tim Tyler. I put a PowerPoint presentation together. So I'm gonna do this in 3 minutes. We're doing Shop with a Cop tonight, and tomorrow we're having coffee with a cop, so join us. Yeah. So by the numbers, right? So we have our total calls for service. Our pool date, data pool date was 11/30. We're up to 40,000 calls for service. There's an uptick on self-initiated activity. Our traffic stops have improved. What you see there, not only with our calls for service and traffic stops, but our community engagement. As of this data pool date, we're up to 200.7.5 hours and up 75 event. Community service is our priority. Other successes we've had, we got the voluntary camera registration, where this has been very helpful when making sure that if a crime happened, that we're getting the evidence that we need. Is all voluntary. AGB security downtown has proven fruitful. Thank you, Chief Carey, with the campus police service agreement. We got the online reporting. We bought 4 new speed trailer. We are really talking about reducing speed in the town, so hint, hint. And we have installed 46 automatic license plate radar readers, and we're soon, according to the gun violence blueprint, going to install gunshot detection pretty soon this year. Here it is, right? So you take the numbers, more proactive stops, we're making more, we're getting more guns, we're saving lives, bottom line. So there it is right there. There go the numbers. Shooting incidents from 2021 went all the way down to 124. We had 17 homicides last year. We have 9. Good number there. 8 of that 9, we have those folks in custody because of the great work of the community. It's not just police. Also, gun recovery, 217 illegal guns recovered on proactive stops, more traffic stops, more illegal guns, saved lives. We've also did some key promotions, 2 deputy chief, 1 lieutenant. I'm real big on training. I'm a big Army guy, so you can never train enough. So 23,000 hours of training. My lieutenant just finished Northwestern Police and Command School, graduated top of his class out of all over the system, all over the nation. So just great, great job. So here it is. So where are we, right? So our civilian staff, experienced officers with our recruitment program, we got to our goal. 22 officers were hired this year for year 2022. And we're looking to put in 25 more next year. Active officers, we got 84. We got 14 in training. We got unserviceable officers. We got a bunch of officers that was called on active duty to serve. They're coming back to serve their community as police officers. We still have 18 vacancies, so we're gonna pump hard, and we got some retirements coming up. Civilian staff, 6 vacancies. We need to fill those. Then, this is my 2023 projection. We're gonna continue to train and train hard. We're gonna continue to be accessible to the community. We're gonna continue to reduce gun violence. We're going back to a district base. You're gonna have your own lieutenant. If something is going on in your district, you call your lieutenant, and that person is gonna be there for your beck and need. So, big calls for service. I want you to know most of our calls for service, at least 5,000 of them were in mental health, behavior, and other calls for domestic violence. Those are the numbers there. If you want to talk to me offline, you can talk. I'm at 4 minutes. I went over. But here it is. That's my direct contact. That is my direct cell phone number. You can call me anytime. I work for you. I'm here to serve. Thank you. Speed trailer, you can see them on the major routes, tell you how fast you're going, and don't tell anybody, but there's normally a police officer two streets down. Okay? I didn't tell anybody, all right?
Just in case.
Are you leaving, Tim? Because you always put us to shame with the PowerPoints. I don't have time to put together PowerPoints. I don't have a PowerPoint, I'm sorry. So, welcome to the first annual year-end Tracy Parsons Good News Report from the Urbana Police Department. I named it after you. I'm sorry, I named it after you, Tracy. Community activities, I'll just run through them really quick. Neighborhood nights, Jetty Roads Day, numerous neighborhood parties, Shop with a Cop, we did it last week. These are things you're gonna be hearing from all these departments. Awards to officers, 16 certificates of merit, 3 commendations, 1 life-saving award. He was on his way to work and he got a life-saving award. How does that happen? Literally driving down the street, baby choking, life-saving award. We just came up with a new award this year called the U-Team, or UPD Together Everyone Achieves More. Very cheesy, but it's like a group award, and the guys and gals seem to love it. 3 awards from the Alliance Against Intoxicated Motorists to our officers. Key programs, ABLE. Thank you again, Minnie Person. You weren't here last month, for me to personally thank. Thank you for supporting that program. Jennifer Ivory Tatum, you weren't here last month for me to thank. Thank you for helping us support that program. One of the things that Chief Carey and I are working on, and I'm sure Chief Tyler is going to jump on this bandwagon too, is we are working on a program to collaborate on our mental health services in the Campus Town and Urbana area. So more news to come on that. Recruiting, retention, referral incentives got passed through the City Council. That's going to be helpful in our recruiting efforts. Also coming up is we're going to get our collective bargaining agreement ratified in the next couple weeks, so that's good. I've got 5 officers hired, 4 are starting PTI in January, 1's a lateral hire. My hope is to have 4 more hired in May, and then I will be full. That's my hope. That's my hope. Since the last coalition meeting, we've had precisely 1 shooting. Unfortunately, it was a homicide. We're making good progress on that case. I expect a positive resolution on that case in the future. Year to date, 44 shootings as compared to this time last year, 108. That is a 60% reduction in shootings. That's the Urbana Police Department. First annual Tracy Parsons Good News Report.
Okay, and the university front, we've had over 15,000 calls for service through the first week of December, and some of those are directed patrols, and some of that is proactive work that we count. A normal year for us is about 13,000, so we're up about 11% from where we were last year, and a big portion of that increase is Campus Town, as we've responded to over 1,000 calls in 10 weeks since that agreement went into effect. But since that agreement went into effect, it's been fairly seamless. That coordination has been working well, and we're up to rolling it out with very few issues and no major crimes that we can report at this time, which is good. So we're very pleased to be able to have this partnership. I think it's really good for public safety, not just for Campus Town, but for the entirety of our community. As far as our REACH team, the Response Evaluation and Crisis Help team, they've worked with 348 individuals so far this year, and those calls are CIT calls for service, crime victims, and sometimes perpetrators of crime. We've been working with individuals experiencing homelessness and other issues. So our REACH team has been on scene for 102 of those calls. And the reason we're not on every call for service is this started as a pilot program, and it's been a very successful program. So we feel that since our successes, we're in conversations to expand this with both Urbana and Champaign will be coming on board pretty soon. But that way that we'll have social workers and our teams out consistently on a 24/7 basis, so we're not missing anyone that needs our service. So there's been also a substantial increase because of the Campus Town agreement. So once we get our collaboration together, I think we're going to see some projects or some progress with helping individuals. As far as our community outreach, our officers and staff completed 239 hours of documented community outreach. Part of that is a shout out to Debo and his work in coordinating some of that outreach. There were, AKA Santa. There are over 530 interactions in 2022 with variations ranging from safety presentations, meetings with community members, and our canines. Our canines have been attending a lot of events, and they account for over 100 documented community events. Most recently, with the students going through finals, Our dogs, our canine teams have been out almost every day and sometimes multiple times a day to help our students go through the stresses that they have and experience just getting through final exams. And finally, Shanice Cooper, a shout out to her. She's our juvenile engagement coordinator. It's a new position, and she took on this new position to help our youth in our community. She oversees our PAL program. It's a police mentoring program, and thanks to Urbana Middle School for that collaboration, she's reaching some youth there and doing that mentorship and providing guidance and special projects. So there's more to come next year. I think we're really going to move forward. So thank you.
So I'll be very short and sweet. I'm here representing the sheriff this evening. So at the sheriff's office in 2022, we got our Explore Youth Mentoring Program off the ground and running, and currently have 5 members. Looking to expand that, but they're having a great time so far. We successfully hosted our second Coffee with a Cop with over 30 in attendance. We successfully hosted the first annual Back to School Barbecue, where we gave out over 120 free backpacks with school supplies and supplied free food and entertainment for over 300 community members. Deputies participated in over 20 community engagement events this year, including public presentations, demonstrations, things like that. We have a 45% reduction in shots fired incidents in 2022 compared to the same time last year. 3 shooting incidents above our 2019 numbers. We've hired 8 new correctional officers, 4 new deputies, and 3 new court security officers in 2022. And we recently filled our vacant full-time social worker position. Thank you.
So let's give our law enforcement leadership another round. So while they're, basking under the photograph and all of those things, I've always said to our law enforcement folks, because we can do effective, tough policing and do it the right way. And that's what I love about the work of our police departments right now, right? Like, I'm not concerned about them doing some of the things that have happened in the past and are real. I've always said the trust or lack of trust between police and black communities is earned, right? So the fact that we're able to do effective policing, reduce, and do it the right way is just a testament to our police department. So let's give them one more round of applause, please. All right, so this is my favorite part. I just want to again say thank you. Just all the partnerships and activities we've done this year as a community together. And, I read account, Go Getters, Self-Made Kings, Lift, United Way, multiple partnerships, the Chancellor's Compact, TRI, the City of Champaign Blueprint, the Black Mental Health Discussions, Victory Over Violence, yes, Youth Assessment Center, community U events in our parks and in our neighborhoods, Boys and Girls Club, Mental Health Board Partnership, Victory Fest, Walk as One, Read, Talk, Play, Business Elevator, the Hedge Park, Pop-Up, and the dozens and dozens of community events we've had to talk about these really tough issues. I hope through this season you go in peace and love and support to our community members. We have to practice civility and practice being kind and polite and please and thank you to one another these days. And so just thank you for all the work you do to make our community be the best it can be. We get a break, come back in January and ready to roll up our sleeves and continue this great work. So thank you, everyone. There's more treats left. DJ Slim is going to be getting us out. So